Alright guys, my name is Shervin. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to rank every single RBC credit card in Canada. Now, I've made a full 4-hour video where I went over every single credit card in Canada. I know most of you guys have seen that video already, but in this video, I'm just going to focus on the RBC cards, and this way I can get into a little bit more detail on the cards and what I think of them. And also, I know some people, they just want to go for credit cards within a certain bank. Let's say if you have an RBC bank account and you want to keep your credit cards within the same bank and everything else. I know some people always ask me this, oh, how would you rate the cards in this bank? How would you rate the cards in that bank? And a lot of people always tell me, hey, I want to get a card from the same bank that I'm with. So for those people, this could be a good little bit of a guide. I know RBC is extremely popular. A lot of people have RBC bank accounts and a lot of people are looking for RBC credit cards to be recommended for them. And obviously, there are a lot of other credit cards that I prefer in that other video, but here I can just delve deeper into, out of the RBC cards, which ones are the best ones, how do they all compare against each other. And the difference with this video is that instead of ranking them compared to other cards in Canada, I'm just going to rank them compared to each other. So if I put a card on, let's say, the S tier over here, that doesn't necessarily mean it's one of the best cards in Canada. It just means it's one of the best cards in RBC, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit different in that sense, but for the most part, it's going to be very interesting to take a look at these cards, and hopefully it can be useful for you guys. Now, as always, if you haven't done so already, make sure to smash the subscribe button down below and join the community. And also, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash the like button down below for the YouTube algorithm as well. I've also started a second channel in partnership with Finley Wealth, but more about that later in the video. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. We're going to start with the two RBC cashback cards over here. We have the RBC Cashback MasterCard and the RBC Cashback Preferred World Elite. And again, I'm using the Finley Wealth website because it's just a nice, really good way to see what each card is offering and compare them against each other. So we can take a look over here. We'll come back to the welcome bonuses a little bit later. Let's just take a look at what each card is offering. The regular cashback MasterCard is offering 2% cashback on groceries, up to $120 back per year. After that, it's only 1%, 0.5% cashback on everything else, and 1% on everything else after the first 6,000. For the first 6,000 on anything that's not a grocery, it's 0.5%. After that, it's 1%. So it's not the best. Usually you want cards that can get you at least 1% on everything else. Like they might have some special categories where they get you a high cashback, but on other categories, you usually want a little bit more than that, right? So it would be better if this was a little bit higher, or if it was just 1% overall. But that's what we have over here with the RBC Cashback Preferred World Elite MasterCard. So basically, you have 1.5% back on all purchases for the first 25,000 that you spend. And then after that, it's 1% on everything after the first 25,000. So it doesn't get you higher cashback on groceries, but it does get you a higher cashback rate overall, 1.5% up to 25,000 spent per year. And I know for most people, you really don't spend too much more than that. So it really is like 1.5% on everything, right? For a lot of people, at least. If you do spend a lot more than that, then there are definitely a lot of better cards that you can take a look at, a lot of paid cards even that you can probably very easily afford. But I think for most people, at least most Canadians, this is very good. For the first 25,000 is very reasonable. As far as the insurances that are included, they don't have a lot of coverages. They do have some of the basic ones. They have extended warranty, both of them up to a year, although with the World Elite card is 2 years. And then the purchase protection is 90 days for the regular Cashback MasterCard, and then for the World Elite, it's 120 days. So a little bit more protection here, but it's nothing crazy to write home about. But you do have car rental damage and theft with the World Elite card, which you don't have with the regular card. You know, most of the RBC cards have this save 3 cents per liter on fuel with Petro-Canada, and you also get a little bit more petrol points if you collect those. So this is nothing crazy. A lot of RBC credit cards, as we're going to go through them, you will see that a lot of them have this. And then you have some other stuff, Be Well points and stuff like that for Rexall. With the World Elite MasterCard, you have access to Dragon Pass, but it's not, it doesn't have any complimentary visits. So you would have to pay for each visit, which is not ideal, of course. A lot of these passes are also quite expensive. They're not cheap, but yeah, it is there if you want to use it. There's some Wi-Fi hotspots and stuff like that. Again, nothing crazy to write home about, but let's talk about the fee. So the regular cashback card is free to own, whereas the World Elite MasterCard is $99 a year to own, basically $100 a year to own. Also, the World Elite has an income requirement. It has an income requirement of $80,000 per year if you're going with the personal income, or at least $150,000 household. So again, this means that a lot of Canadians probably can't qualify. If you can, then that's great. You can go for it if you want, but it's definitely not a card for everyone. And now the welcome bonus that I said we're going to come back to, the regular cashback MasterCard gets you 7% cashback for the first 3 months up to $1,000 in purchases. So that's up to $70 in cashback. Whereas the World Elite gets you 12% cashback in the first 3 months up to $2,000 in purchases, which is, I mean, that's pretty good. That's up to $240 in cashback in the first 3 months if you just spend $200. So what do we think of these cards? So, you know, the welcome bonus is good to cover the fee for quite a while. Like if you just spend $2,000 in the first 3 months and get that 12%, and 12% is quite a bit because this card gets you 1.5 regularly, right? So 12 is, that's a lot of bonus. That's $240. That's good for the first 2 years of owning the card and a little bit more, right? Really the first 2.5 years, if you think about it. So in that sense, it's okay. But other than that, is this card really worth the $100 fee that you're paying every year? Not really. I mean, it's nothing that crazy. If this was, I don't know, maybe like 2.5%, 3% maybe, but even then there are other cards in Canada. I know this is just an RBC ranking, but there are other cards in Canada that can get you those kinds of cashback without any annual fee. But here within the RBC system, it is on the higher end, to be fair, but is it worth $100 a year? Probably not. Overall, how would I rank these two cards? The cashback MasterCard is okay. It's definitely nothing too bad. It's nice that it's cashback and it's not points. We're going to get into some of the points cards very soon. But yeah, overall, I don't love either. For now, I'm going to put the RBC cashback MasterCard in A. But again, we could adjust these slightly. This is going to be a little bit of a weird list because I have to rank them against other RBC cards. So I'm going to put it in A for now, but it could be moved around later on. And I'm going to put this one in B again for now, but they could get moved around depending on the other cards. Okay, so we'll just put them here. And then let's take a look at the Avion cards next. So here we have the RBC Avion Visa Infinite and the RBC Avion Visa Infinite Privilege. Now, the RBC Avion Visa Infinite costs $120 a year to own, as you can see over here, whereas the RBC Avion Visa Infinite Privilege costs $400 a year to own, so quite a bit, more than 3 times more. But are they really worth it? Let's take a look at what they offer. So the RBC Avion Visa Infinite card gets you 1.25 points per every dollar spent on travel and 1 point spent on everything else, whereas the Visa Infinite Privilege just gets you 1.25 points for every dollar spent on everything, right? So not just travel, on everything. But how much are each of these points worth? Let's come over here and take a look at this. So the RBC Avion points, if you redeem them towards airline partners, basically getting flights with the partners of the Avion program, it's about 1.4 cents per point. If you redeem it towards travel, like through other means that are not partners, basically, it's about 1.2 cents. And on other redemptions, it's quite a bit lower. So the best way to redeem these points is towards flights with partners of the Avion program. So let's assume you are redeeming it like that. How many points would that be? So that's 1.25 points, each point being worth 1.4 cents. That's, what is that? That's about 1.7 or so % value back on every dollar spent on travel, which is okay. It's not the worst. And then 1.4% back on everything. Again, not terrible, but is it really worth the $120 annual fee? Remember the other cashback card that we just took a look at and we said, you know what, we wish the cashback was a little bit more. That one costs $100 a year and that one got you 1.5% cashback. So this is a little bit higher if you do redeem it correctly, but it's not like a crazy difference, right? This one, it's nice that it's on everything. So this one on all other purchases, it would only be 1.4. On travel, it would be 1.7. Here on everything, it's 1.7% value back. But for $400, we probably need more features, right? So the points are okay, but we definitely need more features for these cards to be worth those fees. But what features do they have? So they both have a lot of insurances. They cover you in a lot of circumstances. The Avion Visa Infinite Privilege is considerably higher, but they do both cover a lot of the same things. So let's take a look at what they offer, right? So the Avion Visa Infinite gets you lost or stolen baggage up to $500, whereas the Infinite Privilege gets you up to $2,500. You have baggage delay up to $500 on the Visa Infinite, up to $750 on the Infinite Privilege. You have car rental, damage and theft on both, a travel accident up to $500K on both. You have mobile device insurance up to $1,500 on both. And this one's really good actually, because especially for the RBC Avion Visa Infinite, which is a $120 card, $1,500 is actually pretty good. Most other cards in that price range, they only get you covered for mobile device insurance up to $1,000. So $1,500 is pretty good. Usually it's only like more expensive, like $400, $500 a year cards that get you $1,500. So that's very good to see over here. You do get extended warranty up to a year with the Visa Infinite, up to 2 years with the Infinite Privilege. You get purchase protection up to 3 months with the Visa Infinite, 4 months with the Infinite Privilege. So again, a little bit more, but it's not a huge difference that is going to like change your life or anything like that. Hotel burglary insurance up to $2,500 on the Visa Infinite, up to $3,000 on the Infinite Privilege. You have emergency out-of-province medical insurance up to 15 days with the Visa Infinite, up to 31 days with the Infinite Privilege. This one actually might be worth it because this means that if you go and travel for up to 2 weeks, then you're covered, but after that, you're not. Whereas 31 days, I mean, does anyone really travel for more than a month at a time? Maybe some people do, but I think for most people, a month is great, right? Like that covers pretty much anything you do. And also emergency medical over 65, it's only the first 3 days with the Visa Infinite, but it's up to a full week with the Infinite Privilege. So these two might be a little bit more of a life-changing upgrade, but for the most of the other ones, I don't think that's that meaningful of a difference. For trip cancellation also, it might be worth it a little bit more because again, this is stuff that could happen. Like trip cancellation basically means that if you have, let's say, booked a flight, but something comes up, let's say, I don't know, your partner gets sick or your brother is sick and you can't leave town. So it's not like your flight was canceled or anything. It's just like a personal reason came up, and for that reason, whether that was a tragedy or whether somebody is ill and they're like you need to take care of something. For those instances, you'll be covered by trip cancellation because you're the one canceling your trip. And again, it has to be a covered reason. It can't just be, oh, I don't feel like going on the travel, right? Like if it's something drastic has happened like that. But if that happens, right, you can get reimbursement up to $2,500 if you have the Infinite Privilege. And that could be worth it because a lot of times, you know, when you book flights and hotels and everything, that does add up quite a bit. So it's not always below $1,500 for each travel that you're going on. So that might be a little bit of a good upgrade there as well. Trip interruption is the same on both. It's $5,000. Flight delay is up to $1,000 on the Infinite Privilege. But from my experience, it's very difficult to get the reimbursement for flight delays because, you know, if a delay happens, again, it's not simple. Basically, like if a delay happens and you go and spend a reasonable amount, they will reimburse you. It's something like, oh, if you had a delay of, I don't know, 5 hours, let's say you're just at the airport stranded, you know, I don't know, go and buy a burger or something for $20, they will reimburse that. But if you go and, I don't know, buy a nice jacket for $300 because it was cold, will they reimburse that? I mean, maybe they will, maybe they won't. It becomes a whole thing, right? So I don't think this is a huge deal because for flight delay, I don't think it's super easy to get reimbursed for stuff anyways. But that's just my experience. There are some other extra benefits. There's gas discount, like I said, on all the RBC credit cards. There's concierge service with these cards. That's pretty nice. Concierge service is basically like having an assistant that you can call and ask for tasks like booking events, booking restaurants, maybe getting some help with some stuff. That's about it, right? Like that's what they can offer you. So it's a nice service, but it's nothing crazy. Extra points on, again, Rexall and all that stuff. There's car rental discount with Hertz on these, up to 20%. And also the Infinite Privilege card gets you a couple extra stuff here as well. There is, of course, airport lounge access with the Dragon Pass with 6 complimentary airport lounges per year. That's pretty nice. Now, 6 lounge visits per year, I've heard that this would apply basically anytime you redeem one, you have it applied to you for 24 hours. So if it's within the same travel, it counts as one. Now, I personally have the Amex Platinum card, which gets you access to like unlimited lounges, right? So I've never had to experience this myself, so just take that with a grain of salt. But that's what I've heard from other content creators, that basically anytime you use one of your visits, you can use it for 24 hours. Basically, if you go from this airport and then you have a layover in another airport for a couple hours, that all counts as one visit. So 6 times per year, that's pretty good. That's like 3 travels going there and coming back, right? So that's pretty nice. If you need more than that, there's always stuff like the Amex Platinum card that you can take a look at. But I think for most people, that's right about the same amount. I don't think a lot of people are traveling 4, 5, 6 times a year. There are some Visa Infinite exclusive benefits. This is like stuff like Visa Infinite Luxury Hotel Collection. Again, Amex has something very similar. These are actually usually very good. You usually get a bunch of extra stuff when you're booking a hotel through programs like this. This could be stuff like guaranteed or late checkout, possibility of early check-in if there's like room available, getting some food credit at the resort, getting like free Wi-Fi, free breakfast, stuff like that. So these are really good programs. I do like these a lot. So if you can use one of these to book a hotel, it's usually a good experience. And you also have some priority travel features. So this could be stuff like fast track lanes with security. There's dedicated parking spots at select Canadian airports. This is probably mostly just for Toronto and stuff like that, like big cities. I don't really see these at a lot of other airports, but then again, I don't have, I have the Platinum card. I don't have any of these other premium credit cards that give you these kinds of features. So I haven't tried them myself, but from what I understand, it's at the bigger airports. Again, we talked about the fees, but look at this. The income requirement is quite a bit. The Visa Infinite card, minimum personal income requirement is $60,000. The minimum household requirement is $100,000. Again, that's if you don't already have the minimum. It's one or the other. You don't have to have both. But look at this one. The Visa Infinite privilege, whether personal or household, it has to be $200K. Now this, talk about an exclusive card. This is probably like, I don't know, top 3-4% of income earners in Canada that make over 200K, something along those lines. I made a video about this a while ago where I talked about like how much you need to make each percentile. I think the top 5% was just below 200,000, if I remember correctly. I might be remembering wrong. This was a while ago, but it's definitely not a lot of people that are making more than 200K a year. So definitely not a card for everyone. But if you do have it, it's kind of a nice flex, I guess. So in that sense, it's pretty cool. So overall, what do we think of these cards? I do like the Infinite Privilege card. I do think that it is worth having for those who do travel a couple times a year and, you know, want to have airport lounge access. And if you have to have an RBC card, so let's say stuff like the Platinum card and other cards like that are out the window, then in that case, it's actually a nice card, right? So this is an example of where a card might not rank super high on my all credit cards list because those other cards are just better in my opinion, if you can go with any of those. But if you just want to stick to RBC cards, then all of a sudden a card like this, there isn't many other options with RBC that gets you some of these features. So in that sense, it can actually be a little bit higher on the list because for some people, it's going to be worth it. So how do we rank these? I like the Visa Infinite card as well. I do wish it got you a little bit more points because it doesn't have the airport lounge access and stuff like that. This one, it's okay if it doesn't get you a ton of points because it has those features. Here, I do appreciate all the coverages, but yeah, I don't know if I rank it super high. So for now, I'm going to put the Infinite Privilege in A. I'm going to put the Visa Infinite in B. But again, I could change these around. I could potentially, if I feel I haven't put any cards in S, I'm saving S to see if there's, I actually have one card that a couple of cards actually over here. I'll give you a hint that I'm eyeing up for S. But you know, if the S category is looking a little thin, I might bump one or two of these cards up, which would make way for like one or two of the B cards go up and stuff like that. So these rankings are not final. I'm just going to put them there for now, and then we'll revisit them later. But there's one Avion card that we need to take a look at before we do anything else. Now here we have the RBC Avion Visa Platinum, and this card costs the same as the Visa Infinite. Avion. So they're both $120 a year to own. But this card, the Platinum one, has no personal income or household income requirements. So it's easy for everyone to get. But what does this card get you? You basically add 1 Avion point on everything that you buy. That's, as we just went over, about 1.4% value back that you're getting on each of the dollars that you're spending with this card. So it's a little bit less than this card. You're not getting a higher points per dollar spent on travel. But hey, that's not the craziest difference. Like if you can't quite qualify for this card, if that's the only difference, that's not the worst thing ever. But there's a couple other things that are a little bit unfortunate. So this card, the Platinum card, does not have the mobile device insurance, even though you're paying the same fee. Does not have the emergency out-of-province medical insurance, which is probably the most important coverage when it comes to travel, and also doesn't have the emergency medical over 65 insurance. So it's missing a couple of very key insurances and also gets you less points while still costing the same to you. So yes, it's nice that it has all these other ones and they are almost all identical. Some of them are a little bit less, like trip cancellation is 1,000 instead of 1,500, but okay, we could live with that maybe if everything else was in place. But yeah, these are some big ones to be missing over here. And also there's no car rental discount, there's no concierge with these. So it just seems like they're really shortchanging you just because you're not making enough money. It's a little weird. I don't know how I feel about this card. This card feels really weird. Like if this was a little bit cheaper to own, if this costs, let's say $60 a year or $80 a year, then okay, no problem. It's a cheaper card, gets you less features, no problem. But for the same fee, the exact same fee, it's getting you so much less. It's not even just like 1 or 2 small things that are missing. No, a couple of quite big features are missing. Just because you're not making enough money to be worth RBC's time? Really, RBC? Is that what you think of people? So just because of how insulting this card is, I'm just going to put it in D. Maybe it's not that bad, but it feels very insulting. So I'm just going to put it down in D. And RBC, please either lower the fee on this card or maybe don't make so many huge changes to it, because it seems like basically what you're saying is that we don't care about people who are not making at least 60,000 a year. That's what it feels like you're saying. I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying that's what it feels like. That's what it's coming across. So my constructive feedback to you would be maybe look at this card again and see if you can change some stuff around. Maybe just lower the fee. It's fine if you want to take some features away. If it's a cheaper card to own, that's fine. But for the same fee, I don't know, seems a bit insulting. Next up, we have the RBC Ion Visa and the Ion Plus Visa. Now, these are some of the most popular RBC credit cards out there. So let's take a close look at them. The Ion card costs you nothing. It's free to own, $0 fee. Whereas the Ion Plus costs you $48. Very affordable. They're a lot more affordable than most of the other cards we've taken a look at so far. And they have no income requirements at all. So that's pretty nice. But what do they offer you? Now, these points are slightly different than the Avion points. These are Ion Visa points. So keep that in mind. We'll take a look at how much they're worth in a second. But you're basically getting 1.5 Ion Visa points for every dollar spent on grocery, ride, gas, EV charging, streaming, digital gaming, subscription, and more. There's more. That was already like 7 different categories. But yeah, basically 1.5 points on every dollar spent on like 500 categories, and then 1 point for everything else. Whereas with the Ion Plus, we get 3 points for every dollar spent on groceries, gas, dining, food delivery, rideshare, streaming service, and more. Again, there's more. And 1 point for every dollar spent on everything else. But how much are these points worth? They're slightly different than the Avion points. The Avion points, if you remember, were worth about 1.4 cents per point if you redeemed it towards airline partners. With the RBC Ion Avion points, these are so complicated. Why are they? Why do they both have Avion in them if they're completely different points? I don't get this, but okay, whatever. These ones are worth about 1 cent per point if you transfer to WestJet. So if you spend specifically with WestJet to book flights with WestJet, it's 1 cent per point, but anywhere else they're worth less. So you really don't want to spend it on anything else. You just want to spend it on WestJet flights. So if they are 1 cent per point, that's basically 1.5% value back on these categories, 1% value back on everything else for the no fee card. And for a no fee card, that's not bad actually. That's decent. If this was a paid card, then we could compare it with the Avion points and say, hey, maybe it's not as good. But for a no fee card, that's actually pretty good. If you're paying no fees, that's fine. Here for the $48 a year card, you get 3 Avion points. So that's basically 3% value back on all of these categories. That's actually pretty good, especially for a card that doesn't cost that much. Remember the Avion cards, they cost $120 minimum. The Cashback World Elite also costs quite a bit. So that one was $100 a year. This one is less than $50. So that's pretty nice. 3% value back on all these categories and 1% value back on everything else. So that's actually not bad. You don't have a lot of coverages though, unfortunately, unlike the Avion cards. These ones are very just straight to the point, gets you points, doesn't cover anything, but you do have at least the mobile device insurance up to $1,000. It's not $1,500 quite, but hey, for a $50 a year card, that's actually pretty good that it even has that to begin with. So mobile device insurance up to $1,000. We have extended warranty up to a year, purchase protection up to 3 months, and that's these two. The extended warranty and purchase protection are for both of them. So that's fine. Again, the gas discount, this is, I think every single RBC credit card has this, at least most of them do. And then we have the Rexall thing. Does anyone use these? By the way, let me know in the comments down below if you use these, the points, Be Well points. I don't know. Who uses these? I don't know. Maybe some people do. And yeah, what do I think of these cards? So these cards, they get you good amount of points. They get you good amount of points despite the fact that they don't have a high fee. So I like that. They don't have the coverages, but if you don't need the coverages, let's say if you don't travel a lot, then these are actually pretty nice. But then again, you have to use the points towards travel. So if you do use it towards travel, but then you don't have the coverages, that's a little unfortunate too. So yeah, I think I'm going to put these somewhere around A for now at least. The Ion Plus a little bit higher. I do like the Ion Plus a little bit better. And maybe I'll put the Ion Visa card in B actually. And I'll just leave it like that for now. And again, we'll just see if we need to readjust some stuff. And now the RBC Ion Plus Visa card, I have done a full review of this card where I also compare it to other cards, and I also go over what other cards you can pair it up with, and I did that on my new channel. So like I mentioned earlier in the video, I've started a second channel in partnership with Finley Wealth where I do a lot of single credit card reviews. I do some more editorial videos about how you can improve your credit score and stuff like that. So if you're interested in checking out that channel, make sure to click up here. You can check out my review of the Ion Plus card where I go over all the details, and I also compare to other credit cards. I talk about how you can use it in conjunction with other cards if you want to pair it up with other cards, and also check out the new channel, right? I'm going to be posting there a lot. That one's going to be a very active channel, and also if you want a lot of these single credit card reviews, specific credit card reviews, if you want stuff like that, a lot of them are going to be on that channel. Here I'm just going to focus mostly on stuff like this where it's like the big picture, ranking a lot of cards, going over some bigger finance topics, if you will. But over there, it's going to be more singular and detailed. So if you're interested, check that channel out. And if you subscribe, then I'd really appreciate it. Now let's check out the next card. We got the Moi RBC Visa card. And the Moi card is for Quebec only, from my understanding. Now, what does it get you? It gets you 2 points on grocery, beauty, and wellness. And we'll talk about how much each point is worth. By the way, why does RBC have to have like 6 different point systems? It's just hard to keep track with, okay? But we'll go over how much each point is worth. We get 2 points on restaurants and dining per dollar spent. We get 2 points per dollar spent on gas and EV, and 1 point on everything else. Now, how much is each Moi point worth? Now, if you redeem the Moi rewards points towards groceries, you get 0.8 cents per point. So you can just assume each point is worth about 0.8 cents. So when you get 2 points back, you're basically getting 1.6% value back. And when you get 1 point, you're basically getting 0.8% value back. Now, how much does the card cost? Nothing. So that's good. For a no-fee card, these are not the worst, right? So 0.1% on everything, 1.6% on grocery, beauty, wellness, restaurant dining, EV charging, and gas. That's actually okay. Like that was, especially compared to some of the other RBC card that we took a look at, given the fact that this is a no fee card, that's actually not bad. You do get some insurances as well. You get the mobile device insurance, you get extended warranty, you get purchase protection. So I'm just happy they have the mobile device insurance. That's a very good one. Again, you have the gas discount. I swear to God, every single RBC card has this. Like it's not even a feature at this point. It's just like, it's something that comes with the card. And there's no minimum personal or household income required. And that's about it. It's a very bare bone card, but it's actually not bad. It's actually a nice little card. I'll put it in A for now. I know I'm putting a lot of cards in A, but I promise I'll readjust. I'll readjust these cards if need be. I think there are a couple of cards that are going to go elsewhere. So it's actually okay for now, but again, we'll come back and we'll take a look at some of these. But now we're going to get into some of the really, really good cards that RBC has to offer. Now here we have the WestJet RBC MasterCard and the WestJet RBC World Elite MasterCard. Now these cards are very good because they give you vouchers. They get vouchers for companions with your flights. So if you have flights with WestJet and you're flying with, let's say, a friend or a partner or whoever, what you can do is that using these credit cards, once a year, you can get a free voucher, up to a certain amount, of course, where you can get that person basically a free ticket or a discounted ticket or whatever. So here on the RBC website, you can see the WestJet RBC MasterCard. You get an annual round trip companion voucher starting from $200 Canadian, plus taxes, fees, charges, other things, etc. For round trip travel within Canada and to or from United States except Hawaii. This is the regular WestJet card that gets you this, among other things that we're going to take a look at. But the RBC World Elite WestJet MasterCard also has this one starting from $120. So you receive a round trip companion voucher every year for any WestJet destination. So this is not just Canada and the US without Hawaii. This is anywhere. Starting from $120, or you could trade it in for 4 lounge vouchers. Now, I'm just going to go into the fine details to show you something. So here you can see that you get the voucher about 4 to 6 weeks after you pay the annual fee. And then after that, you can use the voucher for one of these options. Option A is you get a round trip flight within Canada or the United States for $120, or for $220 for premium or premium flex options. All right, so if you already have a ticket in that category, you can get a companion voucher for the second one. Or B, second option, round trip flights to or from the rest of the WestJet network from $400 for economy or $500 for premium fares. The voucher doesn't count towards the taxes and fees and other charges. Those have to be paid at the time of booking. But other than that, you get the voucher, and with that voucher, you can get a second ticket for someone else. Now, how much is that worth? It really depends on how frequently you travel with WestJet. If you travel with WestJet every year, and if you have a partner that is always traveling with you, or if you have a friend that's traveling with you, then that's great. But if you travel alone, or if you don't always travel every single year, or if you travel not necessarily with WestJet, then maybe it's not as valuable. But just the fact that you get this option is very valuable and can pay for the card many times over. But with all that said, let's take a look at what else the card offers. So the annual fee on the regular WestJet card is only $40, which is great, because with $40 you can get a very valuable voucher. Whereas with the World Elite credit card, it costs $120. But again, if you redeem it towards WestJet flights to other places other than Canada and United States, again, you can get $400, $500 in value with that voucher, which is just absolutely amazing. So yeah, if you do use that voucher, they're both amazing cards. You get the value of the card many times over just through that voucher. Honestly, even if you use it every other year, it's still really worth it, right? So I do like the cards a lot just for that reason alone. And honestly, even if the rest of the card was really poor, that would still be worth it, right? Because you get so much more value from the card compared to what you're paying for the annual fee. But let's just take a look at what else the card gets you. It gets you 1.5 points per dollar spent when you're buying flights from WestJet, and also 1 point per dollar spent on everything else on the regular card. For the World Elite card, you get 2 points per dollar spent on WestJet flights or vacation packages, and 1.5 points on every dollar spent on everything else. So again, for reasonably affordable cards that again are going to pay their fee many times over just if you use that voucher, you're getting good points as well. And these are WestJet points, right? So basically worth 1 cent per point. So these are good points as well, and good value back as well, at least compared to the other RBC cards. And you also have some basic coverages here as well. And particularly with the World Elite, you also get emergency out-of-province medical insurance up to 15 days. You get emergency medical over 65 up to 3 days. You have trip interruption up to 5,000 per person. Flight delay. And of course, with both of the cards, you have baggage delay, car rental, damage and theft, travel accident, extended warranty, purchase protection. They don't have the mobile device insurance. That's the one thing I wish they did have. But to be fair, you're already getting so much value from these cards compared to the fee you're paying, especially if you use those vouchers, that, I mean, we can't complain too much, to be honest. And also, there's some other benefits with the World Elite card. Particularly, this is a big one. Free first check bag with WestJet flights up to 8 guests. That's insane. That's, you know how much that in savings is? That basically every first checked bag is going to cost you what, like $35, $40, $45, something along those lines. If you get, even forget about 8, if you get 3 guests that get that free, that's like you're already paying off the annual fee of the card. If there's only 3 people, if it's you and 2 other people. 8, I mean, forget about it, right? So particularly the WestJet World Elite MasterCard is absolutely amazing if you use the voucher. If you don't use the voucher, it's still good. It's not as amazing. But obviously, if you get these cards, you're getting them for the voucher. So World Elite, by far the best RBC card, bar none. And honestly, I'm putting the other WestJet right up there as well because it's so affordable, right? Obviously, it gets you a lot less than the World Elite, but again, it's only $40 a year. So I think it's great. Next up, we're going to look at some international options. So we have the RBC British Airways Visa Infinite, and we have the RBC US Dollar Visa Gold. So now the British one is not an actual British card. It doesn't like have pounds as a currency or anything, but the US dollar one, as the name suggests, is in a foreign currency. It's US dollar. So how do these cards check out? Well, let's first take a look at the US dollar one because that one's very interesting. It is in US dollars. It costs $65 US a year to own. There's no minimum income requirement at all. And let's see what it gets you. It gets you 1 Avion point for every US dollar you spend on qualifying purchases. Now, again, every Avion point, like we took a look at before, is worth about 1.4 cents per point if you redeem it towards airline partners with RBC. So 1.4% value back, but remember that's on US dollar, and US dollar is, what is that? It's like 1.37, 1.38, something along those lines, Canadian dollar. So really, when you look at it through a Canadian lens, it's about 1% value back that you're getting over here. There's some good coverages though. There's baggage delay insurance up to $500. There is car rental and damage and theft. There is travel accident. There is extended warranty, purchase protection, trip cancellation, which is nice to see, up to $2,500. That's a good amount. Trip interruption up to $2,500. But overall, is it a great card? No, not necessarily. I mean, the fee is quite a bit. That's about like what, close to $100 Canadian a year. And you're not getting a ton of points or a ton of features. There's no emergency out-of-province medical insurance. There is no mobile device insurance, some of the big ones, some of the big boys. But if you want a credit card that operates in US dollars for whatever reason, this is one of the few options in Canada you can actually get. So in that sense, it's actually useful. So even though it's not a great card, I will put it in A, just because it's a very unique card and it could be very useful depending on the situation. So I'll put it in A. And just to rearrange some of these cards, I think the cashback card should go a little bit lower. Perhaps we put this one in the middle. because these two cards are very good cards. Maybe I'll put Ion Plus above Avion slightly, because Avion is really good, but it's not for everyone. I think that looks a little bit better. Yeah, I like that a little bit better, and maybe we put... Actually, I like the Avion, this Ion one over here as well. So yeah, I think that's a good place for it to be. Obviously, it's not for everyone, but if you're particularly looking for a card that operates in US dollars for whatever reason, then that's one of the few options that you can actually get. So it's good to have in that sense. Next up, we have the British Airways Visa Infinite. And this card, again, it's a very specific card if you do use British Airways, particularly to go to Britain on a regular basis, then maybe it can be a good card for you, but for most people, I don't know if it's really worth it. Now, it is, again, a different points program. I don't know why RBC has so many different ones. This one gets you Avios points. And just in case you're wondering, Avios points, each of them are worth about 1.7 cents if you redeem them towards travel with Avios, basically mostly through British Airways. Now, 1.7 cents, what does it get you? It gets you, for a card that costs $165 a year to own, by the way, it's not a cheap card, but it gets you 3 points per dollar spent on British Airways. So if you buy anything from British Airways, you get 3 points. And again, each point is worth 1.7 cents per point. So that's about 5.1% value back. You get 2% or 2 points, I should say, per dollar spent on dining. So again, given that each point is 1.7, that's about 3.4% value back. And then 1 point per dollar spent on everything else. So that's about 1.7% value back. But again, if you redeem it towards travel with Avios. So it's actually not bad. It does cost quite a bit. It does cost $165. It's more expensive than a lot of the other RBC cards. And it does have a minimum income requirement, minimum 60,000 personal, 100,000 household, but it does get you at least decent value with those points. Now, there are some good coverages in there. There is baggage delay, there is car rental damage and theft, travel accident, extended warranty, purchase protection, lost or stolen baggage, hotel burglary insurance. You have emergency out-of-promise medical insurance up to 31 days, emergency medical over 65 up to 7 days, flight delay. So a lot of good coverages as well. But again, for this fee, we do expect those coverages to be there. You have the same gas discount as all the RBC cards. You have 10% discount on British Airways flights. So actually, that's not too bad. But again, very specific if you really just want to get flights with British Airways. And my question is, what if you wanted to even go to Britain, but let's say it's cheaper to fly with Air Canada? So in scenarios like that, it's very limiting, right? And it's times like that where you wish like, hey, I wish I could just have a card that just gets me, let's say, a good amount of points on travel, not on like specific travel partners. But to be fair, 10% off, and you also get basically 5% value back per dollar spent in terms of points. That's basically like you're getting 15% off of whatever you buy. So that's actually not too bad. And you also get a companion voucher. This is very nice as well, but this one you only get it if you spend 30,000 or more in a calendar year. So it's not quite as amazing as the WestJet card, but it's still pretty good nonetheless. So what do I think about this card? It does cost quite a bit. It does cost more than the WestJet cards. It does cost more than the Ion or Ion Plus. It does cost more than a lot of the Avion cards, except for the super duper expensive one. It doesn't get all the coverages, but at least it does have some of the more important ones. Emergency out-of-promise medical insurance up to 31 days and a bunch of other stuff. It doesn't have mobile device insurance, unfortunately. It would have been nice if it had like trip cancellations, trip interruptions, stuff like that. That would have been nice if it had that. So overall, it is really good for specific use, but there are areas where it does fall short a little bit. So overall, I'll probably just have to put it in A somewhere. Again, it's very specific use. I'll put it here. It's not great to be, I'm talking like as far as S goes, or even the higher end of A, but I do think in specific cases, it could be useful. So I'll just put it here. Now, before we go into the more rewards cards, I want to also quickly go over the two low interest rate card. So we got the RBC Classic Low Interest Rate Card and the RBC Rate Advantage. And I'm going to put both of these in C. Not necessarily because they're bad cards, but just because I'm not a huge fan of low interest cards in general. So if you don't know what these are, basically low interest cards are when you have a credit card and if you don't pay it off on time and in full, you have to pay an interest on the balance. And the interest is quite a bit usually. It's like 20+% per year. But with the low interest cards, you have a smaller interest rate. So for example, the classic low interest card, it has a $20 annual fee, but it doesn't get you cashback or points or features and stuff like that, but it does get you 14% interest instead of 20+% if you have a balance. Now, of course, if you pay the card on time and in full, it doesn't matter what the interest rate is because you just don't pay interest. And that's really my policy. If you get a credit card, you should only really get a credit card if you can always pay it off on time and in full, and if you never use it to buy something you can't afford to pay off right away. If you're going to be using a credit card on stuff that you can't afford to buy and pay for right away, then honestly, maybe it's better if you don't get credit cards because that could lead to a whole bunch of financial trouble for you. And for that reason, I just like on a fundamental level, I just don't really like low interest credit cards for that reason, because the implication is that you're going to be using it to buy stuff that you can't afford to pay off anyways, because otherwise, what would it matter what the interest is? So for that reason, I'm just putting it in C. And also, they usually have almost no features. Like they might have like one or two small ones, but pretty much no features, pretty much no cashback or points or anything like that. So it's not great. Now, speaking of cards that don't have a lot of features, a lot of cashback or anything like that, we got the RBC Visa Platinum. And this is another really bad one. So the RBC Visa Platinum basically gets you no points, no cashback, but it has no annual fee. And it still saves you 3 cents per liter, by the way, at Petro-Canada. So it has that feature. But other than that, it's another card that's just I don't know why, like RBC for some reason hates the word platinum. I don't know if they think platinum means trash or something like that. I don't know. Usually with other credit card providers, platinum is like one of their best cards, right? Like if you look at like the Amex Platinum or whatever other cards. But here, for some reason, the RBC Platinum cards are the worst ones. So this one, maybe it's not the worst of the worst. Maybe it's not D-worthy, but it's definitely a card that, again, given that you're paying $120 and you're getting so much less than the other Avion cards, that's really weird. And then this one is just a bare bone card. It's basically a no fee, but no feature card, which I don't know why. I guess it's easier to qualify for. Maybe that's why people would go for it. But yeah, I don't know why this card exists either, to be honest. And that leaves us with only 2 cards, and those are the More Rewards cards. Now, More Rewards cards are much better options if you live in Western Canada, basically in BC. And that's because a lot of the More partners are a lot of companies that are over here in BC and not necessarily all over the other places in Canada. So maybe not so good in other places, but in BC, there are good options to take a look at. So yes, as you probably guessed, you do get yet another points program. RBC has like 2,500 different points programs. This one is More Rewards points. And if you're wondering what these are worth, the More Rewards points are worth about 0.4 cents per point on travel and less on other categories. So you should really only spend it on travel. And you get 5 points per dollar spent on qualifying purchases at over 700 More Rewards partners. This is stuff like Save on Foods, Quality Foods, etc., etc. You get 5 points per dollar spent on gas, EV, and dining, and 3 points per dollar spent on all other purchases. Now, this is on the regular version of the More Rewards card. And by the way, both of these cards are free to own. Both of them have no annual fees whatsoever. The only difference is that the More Rewards RBC Visa, the regular version, has no minimum income requirement, whereas the RBC Visa Infinite card does have an income requirement of personal 60,000 or household 100,000. Now, we did roast the platinum card, they had earlier for having the same fee but offering so much less in terms of features compared to the other Avion card. Now, this one is a little bit different than that because they're both free to own, right? So this I can understand. If you have 2 cards that are both free to own and then the one just has a higher income requirement and also gets you more features, I can totally understand that. My problem with that card, to be clear, was that they were both paid cards and not even super cheap. They were $120 each a year to own. And when you have two paid cards, you shouldn't really have one that gets you a lot less features just because you're not making a certain amount of income or higher. And that was my only reservation. Because the thing about, if you have two cards that are free to own, think about it from the credit card provider's perspective. I mean, they're not making any money from the fee because there is none. What they're making money off is when you go and you purchase stuff, there's a percentage that they get from the merchant, right? So let's say you go and buy something for $100. The merchant probably has to pay maybe 1% or less, or whatever the percentage is. Let's say 0.5% they have to pay. So basically they pay 50 cents to Visa or RBC or whoever. And when you have two cards that are free to own, obviously if you have a card that you give to people who make more money, I mean, they're probably going to spend more on their whatever day-to-day spendings, right? And when they spend more, you make more. So you can afford to give more features. So that makes sense, right? But when you have two cards that both have annual fees, then that's not really that's a very different situation, right? Now you're charging a fee. It's like a product that you're buying. I understand that same thing still applies, but you're paying an annual fee. And when you're paying an annual fee, it's just really weird that you would have a card that gives you so much less for the same fee than another card, just because your minimum income requirement is not high enough or whatever, or your income is not high enough, I should say. So that's why this one is a little bit different than the Platinum card. And also, these two are very similar. It's not as big a difference as those Avion cards. So you can, for example, see here, the coverages they have is pretty much the same. They both have mobile device insurance up to 1,000, extended warranty, purchase protection, pretty much the same. And the points, yes, they're slightly higher on the More Rewards RBC Visa Infinite, but it's not a huge difference. It's not like they're double, triple, whatever. So here we went over how they get you 5 points per dollar spent on the partners, 5 points per dollar spent on gas, EV, and dining, and 3 points on everything else. And again, like we talked about, each of these points are worth about 0.4 cents. So this will be 2% value back on partners, gas, EV, dining, and about 1.2% value back on everything else, which is actually pretty good for a no-fee card. The higher end version, the RBC Visa Infinite, gets you a little bit more. It gets you 8 points on the partners, 8 points per dollar spent on gas, EV, and dining, and 4 points per dollar spent on everything else. So 8 points, that will be about 3.2% back on the partners, gas, EV, and dining. And 4 points, that would be about 1.6% value back on everything else. So that's also pretty good. So I like these cards a lot. And obviously, if you can afford to get, and the minimum income requirement isn't even that high. So that's actually not the worst. Again, of course, it's not for everyone. But I do think quite a bit of people should be able to qualify for this one. So in that sense, it's not the worst option either. I do like them. I'm probably going to put this one in A. And then put this one in B, somewhere around there. That looks about right. And I think that's a good list because what I like about this list is that it is spread out. We are covering most of the tiers. Of course, it's very heavy in A, so maybe we could drop 1 or 2 into B. But honestly, I'm just going to stick with my first gut reactions because usually your first instinct is the most correct one. If I start moving stuff around a little bit here and there, I mean, for the most part, it's not going to change the hierarchy. This sounds like or looks like the right ranking to me at first glance, at least. So I'm just going to stick with it. You know what? We're just going to go with that. This is our final ranking. Let me know if you have any of these cards. Do you disagree with any of the cards where I ranked them? Do you think one card should have been much higher or lower? Do you plan on getting any of these cards? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, if you want to check out my full review of the RBC Ion Plus card, again, I did a full review of that on the new channel in partnership with Finley Wealth. Definitely check out that channel, check out that video. And again, that's a brand new channel. If you can subscribe there, I'd really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to this channel as well. And if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and smash the like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. And I will see you in the next video.